Well, hello and welcome everybody to a Shills special presentation as we do part 2, taking down the human piece of garbage you know as Validation Boy. So returning to join us tonight, we have once again Blue Earth Thing, we have once again Purple Rhymes with Orange, and joining us just because he hates the man's fucking guts is Digital Demonic Davros. So let's get around the table and see what everybody's up to. And we go to Logical Troglodyte and say, hey, buddy, what's happening your way in Cave Town?
Hey, Babes just released a takeover video over on Mr. Sensible's channel while he's out doing his daughter's wedding planning stuff with saying, yes, dear, thank you, dear. Looks wonderful, dear. I've been trying to get Validation Boy on a live stream with me to debate the pros and cons of mental health as he sees them. And a big fat nothing, you know. He says, wait a minute, I don't know, I'm not very tech savvy, how do we stream together? I say, hey, I've got that covered, I have a producer, yada yada yada, and nothing but crickets.
Are we surprised though, really? I mean, the man has nothing to say so much that he uses a robotic voice.
Unfortunately, I think that is his real voice. It's just that friggin' boring.
Oh, it's horrible. It's awful. Barman, what do you got to say about this? And what are you up to these days? How's it going?
All right, Squire. Validation Boy is just a waste of fucking space. It's going to be awesome ripping him another new one. He's going to have more holes in his head than fucking assholes. It's mental. But yeah, I've been having fun. I've been relaxing in Wales, which is mad because I've probably been more online streaming and catching up with everyone's videos than I do at home, which is nice. Joey Roach has found my channel, subscribed and started commenting, so that's always fun. So expect a lot of videos about him coming out on that. Apart from that, yeah, just trying to catch up with everything and just do as little else as possible.
It sounds good, actually. Right on, right on. I kind of wish I had that much time at the moment. Let's check in with Tattie-Bogle. What's happening your way, buddy? How are you this evening?
All right, troops. Okay, I am having a blast, man. Having a blast. Once again, looking forward to presenting some stupids to all and sundry. And eagerly looking forward to listening to yous lot fucking rip this bastard a new one.
And I know we're looking forward to doing it. Absolutely. I know somebody else who's looking forward to this one very much. Bullionator. How's it going? This is somebody who has a little taste of something that I'm sure he wants to get off his chest with this fucking guy.
Well, anybody who uses Hollywood as a reason for something to be true is just fucking idiotic. Just saying. And also, if you've got some problem with autistic people, you need to go check yourself. I'm autistic, and I know a bunch of people who are autistic, and they're nothing like what you're attributing to them. So fuck off with that shit.
Absolutely, man. Well said. And now we're going to turn to somebody who, like me, has autism in the family as well. And, you know, we're helping to raise a young one with it. Aimee, I bet you really want a piece of this fucker today.
Oh, I do. Hello, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. Thank you for coming back on to do this with us. I am ready to rip this guy a new one because I just tried to deal with case management to help get services back in play for my son, and things aren't going well in that aspect, so I'm ready to kick some butt. So I'm ready.
All right. And let's check in with our guest. Start at the top here. We'll go alphabetically. So Blue Earth Thing, welcome back to Validation Boy Part 2. Are you ready? Are you psyched?
Yeah, I'm ready for this one. This dude is so boring and so irrelevant that I actually forgot the name of him between the parts. But he does have a very fitting name, because if there's one thing I remember about Validation Boy is that he tries to find every reason to validate his worldview at any point possible in viewing it in any way he can manage to twist the truth. Like, that's all he does. That's the one thing I do remember about this guy. It's hard to listen to.
Well said, man. Well said. And Digital Demonic Davros, welcome back to the show. I bet you want a piece of this fucking prick, don't you?
Oh, you mean the invalid toy? is validation boy. Right, this guy has like what the fuck is wrong with these people? Seriously, I mean, get a grip, right? I've had all my vaccinations. I haven't had a freaking injury. What is wrong with this guy? Right? Go and get a vaccination. It might make you smart.
Oh man, no doubt. It's it's almost too bad his parents weren't anti-vaxxers, because maybe never mind. But anyway, and let's turn to Orange Rhymes with Purple. Welcome back to the show. How's it going in your world?
Okay, nice for you to have me back. Yeah, I'm also on the autistic spectrum, although I wasn't properly diagnosed until I was in my 40s.
Same as me. Same as me.
Yours is self-inflicted, isn't it, Dick?
Well, there's something to be said about that. Maybe there is actually.
Well, okay, let's I'm going to have to be logical here for a moment. There's a difference between self-inflicted traumatic brain injury and atypical brain development. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's too funny. That's too funny. So, since we are attacking this guy full-on assault style tonight, why don't we just get right to it? And I believe, Tatty, his assault on Asperger's is what we're going to be looking at first. Is that correct, my friend?
Indeedy.
Let's not be gentle with him at all.
No
lube
trust
necessary.
Me. You won't be.
Yeah, I don't care how big or how heavy it is, just stuff it up his ass. Let's.
I'll be helping on this one.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's another thing, everybody watching. Amy's going to be joining in on the harsh debunk here, so also ping us with questions and comments like the rest of the Shills individually as well, because she's going to miss half of it. So there's no way it's going to work, right? Ping us all, and we can all share the load with the comments and questions tonight, because it's going to be hard to hold her back.
By the way, General Mayhem needs a white knight. Well, that's what I'm fucking here for. I'll white knight anyone.
All right. So what do you say, Tatty? Let's line this guy up. Everybody lock and load, and we'll take aim.
Hello, YouTube. Validation Boy here. Is Asperger's even real? There are no biomedical indicators for Asperger's. There are no actual tests for Asperger's. There are literally no diagnostic.
Yeah.
Okay, who wants to go first? Because literally, I think it's all of us.
So to those three questions, it's yes, yes, and yes. They have all this shit to be able to understand Asperger's. Really, did he even look at the AMA? Did he look at the autism spectrum? Did he look at how they diagnose these things? No, he didn't. He's gone off frickin' Twitter feeds from anti-vax nut jobs.
Yeah. This is totally armchair logic with no research whatsoever. He's just pulling it out of his ass and putting it on display for all.
Actually, I did find, I think it was on, if I'm not mistaken, WebMD, where he got his information of no biomedical markers, yada, yada, yada. But before it got to that statement, there was a whole list of psychological criteria. And then it talked about no biological markers. And as I stated in my own video on this topic, when we talk about biological markers, we're talking about blood tests, x-rays, that sort of thing. But there is a lot of promising research in fMRI that shows atypical brain development in people on the autism spectrum scale, including Asperger's, which is now lumped in with autism.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Well, if
exactly.
you just Google Asperger's test, it will come back with a half dozen universities where you can take online tests.
Well,
Yeah,
and
it's called fucking research.
That's literally just the online test. That's like the precursor to the actual test, because the actual test took me, let's see, there was a 600 question true false questionnaire And then there was a whole bunch of physical tests that involved me closing my eyes and trying to put puzzles together, for example.
Yeah.
I remember all that shit, and I did it when I was 42, so I'm one of those 40-year-olds who got diagnosed late, slipped through the cracks. So, yeah.
Yep. Well, and that was the
Here's
same
your
thing
test.
with me. And I only got diagnosed because I took one of the online tests. And then I took the results from that back to my therapist, who recommended me to a psychologist for it.
And this just goes to the point of not knowing how to use Google.
Well, exactly that. And when Matt was diagnosed, and he has to go get a fresh diagnosis to keep services, which. So
They're not cheap. They're not cheap.
No, they're not. Plus, he has to go, they're quite involved. I have to fill out questionnaires upon questionnaires for him. One of them's the Vineland, and a whole bunch of other things. The school has to fill out a whole bunch of stuff. So saying that there's no way at all to diagnose this and it's just something that's made up, is this guy really for real? What an idiot. People like this really rankle me because there is a lot to it. And we go through this every 3 years. We just went through it this summer getting his diagnoses. And yes, he has autism. Yes, he has ADHD. And he also has now depression and anxiety that we're finally able to be recognized now that he's older and developed more, which, according to research, always goes along with it. It's a comorbid diagnosis that they give for that too a lot of the times.
Yeah.
And wait till you see the rest of the video. I watched the video last week and all I could see was red. So anybody in the chat, I'm sorry if I don't catch your comments or questions. It's because I'm seeing red.
Yeah, and there is a whole load of things that often come comorbid with the autism spectrum. Among other things, the psychologist told me that 85% of the people on the spectrum have sleep disorders of some variety.
Yeah.
I feel like I am the least certified person to be on this panel with this guy. I don't really have any experience with mental illness and autism and all that. Like, I have to look up Asperger's. I actually don't know which one that is. So I guess I could be the layman, and you guys can explain these concepts to me. Like, the closest thing I have to any of that is ADHD.
Yeah, you could explain how much of a dickhead he is. How's that sound?
Yeah, probably. Like,
I'm going to do that as well.
I can do the vaccine stuff. I don't know anything past that. Like, so you guys are far more experts than I am.
Okay, well, for you, Blue, and for anybody in the live chat that may be wondering, before Asperger's became part of the autism spectrum scale, it was its own diagnosis in the DSM-4 and the DSM-4-TR. It had very specific criteria, and basically, in layman's terms, what Asperger's does is the person who has it has a difficulty in picking up social cues, has difficulty with empathy and being able to recognize another person's emotional state during a conversation. Part of the reason for that is that when we're talking to people face to face and we are experiencing empathy, what our face is doing is little micro expressions to mimic what my speaking partner is exhibiting on their face, as a way of my brain trying to try on their facial expression to see what it feels like. Oh, that feels happy, or oh, that feels sad, or oh, that feels angry. That's how we recognize each other's emotional state, through these little micro expressions. And Asperger's patients have an inability to do that micro mimicking in order to actually feel what it's like with that facial expression, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. And so this guy is saying that none of that's real.
Basically, yeah.
Yep.
Basically, yes. He's denying all of that.
What I don't understand, like, I can empathize with not saying that something as minor as like ADHD is not real, but emphasizing with saying that it's overdiagnosed, because it is. But when saying something like Asperger's, like how you just explained it, how in the world would you think that's not real, though? Like, why would somebody make that up?
Well, because some dumbass is assuming that everybody's brain develops along the same lines, and therefore everybody should have the same experiences or, abilities, which we already know, from the last 100 years that that's not true.
Yeah, it's so obviously not true.
And Asperger's was first described in the 1940s. So we've got, what is that, 80 some years of research and experience with it? I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's so obvious that not everybody's brain is developing the exact same. Why would you not? Why would you expect there to not be differences in how people think and how people react to others and everything like that? That's exactly how biology works, is that it doesn't create a clone copy of everybody. It creates many different things.
Yeah.
And it figures out what's best to move on. And how I don't understand how you can possibly think that everybody has the same brain functions.
Right.
Evolutionary deniers.
Exactly. And as you will see as this video progresses, he's a very angry little man who has very low self-esteem, very low life satisfaction, and rather than do anything proactive to alleviate that life dissatisfaction, he would rather point the finger at other people and be angry at them.
Aw, does he need a hug from Mummy?
Most of these people do.
Yeah. Just a little update on a certain other person. He hasn't shown up. Just letting Dick know.
Okay. This guy too, if you ever see this guy in action on any of his videos, he's very what's the word I'm looking for? Misogynist? There we go. I'll just use it.
Oh yes.
He hates women too. So I'm wondering if maybe he does need a hug from Mummy and Mummy wasn't good to him or something, because
Or is he incel?
he might be.
Yeah.
Well,
that's another video that we've got queued up.
Yeah, I went back and watched a couple of his videos after the last show, and yeah, his attitudes about women got me even more upset than the Asperger stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, will we crack on with this one now?
Yeah, we may as well.
Yes, please, sir.
Diagnostic criteria for Asperger's. The symptoms of this so-called condition are nothing more than a generic description of any child anywhere in the world. There are no legitimate forms of treatment available for Asperger's. The only thing they will do for someone with this alleged...
Okay, so when he talks
guys,
about...
we're going to get a minute? We're going to get a minute of video?
I'm sorry. I got so excited.
Davros, it took us 2 hours to go through a 3-minute video on Friday.
Yeah, I know. I've seen. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Cool. Anyway, logical. Because there.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say that to a certain extent he may have a little bit of a point here, but it's obvious he doesn't have a degree in psychology or early childhood development. Very, very young children can exhibit what a clinician may describe as autistic behavior because they're wrapped up in their own head. Their whole world is inside their own head. And the only thing the outside world that they recognize is basic needs. I'm hungry. I need to eat. I'm poopy. I need my diapers changed. But as a child progresses and develops, then the outside world becomes more real, more relevant outside of basic needs. But what he's trying to equate is that what we're describing as Asperger's is these baby and toddler behaviors, and it's not. They are not the same thing at all.
Exactly. And there actually is evidence-based therapies that you can do with children with autism. I can't speak for people with Asperger's, but I can say that we have what's called ABA, and that's evidence-based, where you work with them to help them with things. We have things called the zones of regulation to help people help kids understand like emotions and where they fall and how to react to them and how to deal with them when they have them. And there's so much stuff. I coordinate with the school because they can help him. I coordinate, I have people that come into the house when we can get services. That come and they work with him too to help him out in the community. I work with him myself. I do a lot of some of the stuff that they do. They send me stuff that, hey, here, you can do this too. And okay, great. So I work with him as well. And it's an ongoing thing to help him become a productive member of society. So there's a whole bunch of things we can do for people with autism. And so he's essentially, to me, he's wrong because I run around with him all the time, taking him to therapies. And of course, a lot of the times, since it is a brain developmental disorder, he has to have occupational therapy and and physical therapy as well. So there's that too.
Yeah,
sorry.
Absolutely. No, absolutely not. Now, I'm going to do a sad, pathetic attempt at trying to do what Aimee is so awesomely good at, and I'm going to read out a few comments. So, we've got 9 o'clock hero. This kid is definitely entering the same level of disdain as Oakley. I love that one. Mr. Victory, my brother's sister-in-law has Asperger's really bad and can barely come out of her room. Mike Bertelson, is bleeping VB's Google broken? No, he's just an incompetent asshat. And I think Mike Bertelson again. I think we found someone worse at research than Liley. Absolutely. And Mike Bertelson's lovely better hat says, yes, it does describe most children, but it is to an extreme. It's like ADHD. All children have short attention spans. Children with ADHD are a lot shorter, and that's exactly the point, isn't it? Very well said. I love our viewers. Damn it, we got the greatest people here.
That's the one thing I can talk on is ADHD. ADHD and dyslexia. That's the two things.
I've got dyslexia.
Yeah.
Yeah, my fingers suffer from dyslexia.
Yeah. I'm starting to think maybe VB has dyslexia because obviously he's gone to Google, can't put Asperger's in properly and gone Asperger's. So gone Asperger's symptoms and nothing's come up and he's thought, see, I was right. There's no such thing as Asperger's. No, Asperger's isn't a thing. Asperger's, which I'm probably still saying wrong, is a thing though, you fucking moron. Learn to type and do research properly, please.
You're thinking
I'd like to address this comment from the live chat. If I butcher your name, I really apologize. I'm bad at some names. Fyodor Jastrovsky. Asperger's is now an
Dostoevsky.
Yeah, thank you. Asperger's is now an anachronism, like how dysthymia is now referred to as persistent depressive disorder. That's sort of true. It's now in the DSM-5 and the ICD in Europe, now linked into the high end of the autism spectrum disorder, but a lot of clinicians like myself still use the old terminology because in the earlier diagnosis programs, the criteria were so much more clear-cut and easier for us to work with. There is some debate within the psychological community about whether or not Asperger's should be part of the autism spectrum disorder or its own disorder. That may change in the future. I don't know, but that's a whole nother debate there.
Well, Asperger's as a term and a category or a classification or whatever the proper term there is, I don't know why it's lost on me right now. But in Canada, they have swept that away and just folded it into the autism spectrum, done and dusted, no more distinction.
Yeah, and that's basically what the DSM-5 has done also.
Yeah.
Yes.
We have a really good one here from General Mayhem. Oxygen thievery is a crime. I like that.
I like that too.
And then, Mippet69. Asperger's, check Pornhub.
I see the cybernetic squirrel has got out in General Mayhem.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the fact that everyone has made that statement that if you type it in correctly, you'll find the information you need. I'm starting to find that there are certain people in all communities I reckon they're putting question marks after their questions in Google. That's how thick they are. You know, like they'll have a Google Home Mini and they'll go, can you find me a fast food joint? Question mark. And Google Home will go, what do you think I am,
fair.
Alexa?
Riley did pick the wrong food call. Just saying.
Yes.
Wrong food call,
Yes.
dude.
He did. That was
Yes.
No.
Yeah, because he doesn't know how to spell pendulum.
Oh, that's funny.
And if you say pendulum really slow, it sounds like gullible.
So yeah, I was away for a minute there. Where are we in the video and whatnot? Or did it end? Did I miss it?
We're about halfway.
No, we haven't got very far.
Okay.
What was that? A minute and a half in?
If that, I'm sorry.
Yes, no, it's good.
No.
It's standard night then.
We are 34 seconds in.
You missed 10 seconds, Dick. You're going to be out of the loop the rest of the night.
That's funny.
Oh,
Minute and a
man.
half into the video, and we're already half an hour into the show.
Yeah, I need some ammunition, Tatty. Give me some. Play this. I mean, it's only going to take about 10 seconds before we're all screaming at him. So.
Oh, hell yeah. Here it comes again, folks. Another servant.
Condition is send them to a shrink to talk about stuff. The medical industry itself doesn't even take Asperger's all that seriously. It's not even listed as its own disorder. Is the entire thing just a hoax? Think about it. It's a unique condition that no doctor can accurately describe, and it grants the patient a free pass out of any social situation they...
Pause that. Time to grill this motherfucker. Right? Does he understand that Asperger's is one of the most diagnosed in young children? Does he realize that? In Australia, Asperger's is one of the highest levels in the autism spectrum because of the outbursts and the uncontrollable tantrums that are happening. That's the first diagnosis they get until they start getting older and they develop certain traits, right? So they follow the Asperger's syndrome thing for a while and then they see which way they go, right? But these doctors know what they're seeing.
Well, and his complete dismissal about that they send the child to somebody to talk about it. And it's like, talk therapy has been proven to help with a lot of mental disorders.
Timing is everything.
It is.
I'll take this. Mr. Victory, $20 super chat. Mr. Victory, thank you so much. You're amazing. And the comments even better. I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today to stick up Validation Boy's ass.
Ironically, today is Tuesday.
That's awesome. Now, on the buzzer system, I can only assume that Davros is the idiot. Is that what's going on here? Are you fucking with me? Because my name is in there. How can I be on the list? So let's go to Logical and somebody else can figure it out here. Logical.
Yeah, I love it when he says that no doctor can accurately describe it when he was looking at a website that accurately described it. Now, as a licensed mental health practitioner, I have tested for autism and Asperger's and all kinds of different things. Where this particular diagnosis is concerned, I will write up a report with a tentative diagnosis and I will work in conjunction with either a clinical psychologist, a psychiatrist, and or a neurologist. And guess what? Neurologists and psychiatrists are MDs. They're fucking doctors. You know, I mean, they're the ones who are going to make the final diagnosis based on my report and my tentative diagnosis. You understand? So, you know, it's a long, involved process. And then say they just take two to talk about stuff. Bullshit. You know, yeah, we do talk about stuff, but we also use something known as cognitive behavioral therapy, dialectic behavioral therapy, which are very long, involved processes processes to help teach a client ways to express themselves in a healthy way, how to recognize things in other people in a healthy way. This is not just talking about stuff, it's actual work, and it's very, very difficult to do, both from my point of view as the clinician and from the client's point of view as the person struggling to improve their situation.
And as a parent, I'm nodding up and down really hard. Yes, because it's you work at it and you work at it to help them. I mean, it's not something that's going to stop. It's not something that's going to go away. And yes, they do have very accurate descriptors of what autism and Asperger's details. I mean, it's the man is an idiot. Has he even read? He hasn't read anything, and I think he's just doing this to be provocative, is what I'm thinking. He's an ass.
I don't know. The guy just seems like he's suffering from Dunning-Kruger effect mostly.
Yes.
He found a subject. He had a thought about it once, and he thinks himself as a genius. So he's just going to give off his thoughts without realizing that everything he's saying is wrong. Like him saying that the doctors can't describe. What do you mean the doctors can't describe? You can literally just look up and you find article after article after article of doctors describing it. You can go to Google Scholar, do that. You're going to find a ton of articles describing it. Like even if you want to argue that doctors can't describe something, I hate to keep bringing it up, but maybe ADHD, and even then you can still find article of people describing it. Like,
yeah,
absolutely.
The guy has no idea what he's talking about.
Well,
yet
and
he has no
if doctors
basis in
can't describe it, how could it ever have an entry in the DSMV?
There you go.
Exactly.
And I would like to address another live chat from Chucky McNubbin. He says, some doctors get it wrong, though. One of my nieces was assessed by family general practitioner as ADHD. When her mother went to a specialist, the result was negative. The go refuted the results. Okay,
That's also true.
That's also true. Yes, sometimes doctors and clinicians do get it wrong, which is why there's a tentative diagnosis first, and over a period of time, as the child develops, we can further refine a diagnosis.
Oh no, not the scientific method to work out a diagnosis. Oh shit.
Bullionator's been waiting to jump in here. Guys, sorry, I got to get in here.
You're right.
Well, I was just gonna say sometimes, like the way of treating it as a disease is not what they do anyway, because they understand it's a lifelong condition, and sometimes getting those benefits as an adult is even harder, because if it's diagnosed in children, there have been autistic children who've been through the system and have had the diagnosis their whole life, and then there's people like us 40-year-olds who didn't get that benefit. So we have a lot of things to undo, learn things that we've learned that are wrong, basically, about how the world works, etc., and how especially social situations. It's tough, and it's sometimes, especially in the United States, there's a lack of services for adults that just is staggering. So there's a vacuum still needed for people who get this diagnosis, and there is a treatment, but it's not cheap.
Oh, exactly.
It's not cheap, and it's very hard to get in there. I'm struggling with a child to get services for my son. It's not out there, and it's expensive, and it's hard to get. I mean, we struggle all the time with trying to get providers for my son. It's constant.
It's not fair at all. It's not fair at all. Let me just do a tiny bit of housekeeping here, guys. Stuck in Florida. I was diagnosed with Asperger's, but I still think it's just because there are so many stupid people that makes me unsociable. You know what? You might have a point there, right? And Mr. Victory came in with, I did that one. Absolutely. It's, let's see here, Tattie. Oh shit. See, I'm not Amy. I'm just not as good as this. We got a really good one from John Rapp. I'm a team leader for a large charity disability services provider in OZ. Two of my guys have Asperger's. Both present oppositely. One is shy, quiet, and introverted. He's my best worker. The other is very extrovert, no filter, talks all the time, most especially as a coping mechanism when stressed or upset. He drives me crazy at times, but he's my favorite.
Sounds like Dick Dawson.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I can relate to that. Jesus Christ.
I've got an idea though. Everyone who's got autism or Asperger's or some form on that spectrum, they can all be a shill.
Oh, I agree there. I agree there. We often joke amongst ourselves that we should be just calling ourselves the misfits or the beaten and the broken because, we're a crazy lot, man. It's funny.
Yeah. And you guys already know my son's a shill. He already knows about gravity and that the world's not flat.
Exactly. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
and my son was on.
He told Dick to shut up last night.
Yeah, he did.
Good boy.
Yeah, he put me in my place real good. It was funny.
And, from the live chat as well,
he's
Luna
my
Burson
favorite one too. And he talks to my chief.
Yeah, from the live chat as well, Linda Burson is now a new member of the Shills. Thank you very much, Linda. And she directed a comment at me, which I'd like to respond to. She says, it's also a diagnosis need to be done by more than one clinician. Absolutely right. I do not work in a vacuum. I work with a team. And if any one of our, if I feel like our team isn't helping this person, I can definitely reach out into other offices within the mental health community to ask for more assistance when necessary. You're absolutely right. No one person diagnoses things like this.
Yeah.
My son went through a process of 4 different people to finally get his diagnosis and placement within the spectrum so that we knew what to do going forward, because we could use some well-trusted techniques to get going, see where it goes, and then modify the program as we go, right? And you can't do that with one person. You need a team. It's just that simple.
Yes, and it's a fairly sizable team. We have a behavioral specialist, we have a psychologist, we have the general practitioner, we have it's dizzying sometimes. We have a case manager to help us navigate all this stuff. And that's another thing that I'm really frustrated with, is how complicated the system is to try to get help for people, and for both adults and for children. It's crazy. You need to have help to be able to, okay, what do I do now? It's just, it's
the complexity of that system is part of the problem when you have it as an adult and are trying to find help, because you have problems with that type of complexity. Other complexities you might be fine with. You might be excellent at, like me. I'm excellent with certain things, but when it comes to trying to navigate bureaucracies, I'm useless. It's like I got a lawyer. I finally have a disability hearing in April.
Nice.
And it's at that point I'll be going to see doctors and stuff more frequently because I'll actually have money to do so. But at the same time, I got diagnosed at 42. I'm 47. That's 5 years I've been trying to figure out what the hell to do with the diagnosis.
Wow.
Yep.
That's insanity. I want to do a tiny bit of housekeeping here, everybody. So we got 9 o'clock hero. It took 5 years for my boy to be properly diagnosed. I'm sorry. That's unacceptable. Too long. We got General Mayhem. I will launch wasps and bees and toads and sleeping idiots at you if you do not like and sub. I like this guy. My kind of man.
That is class, man.
And then we got Mr. Victory up. I'd like to know what Validation Boy thinks of high anxiety disorders that some find disabling. I am close to high anxiety myself. And you know what, Mr. Victory? So am I. If I was in a room right now with all these people talking, I'd be in the corner shivering, man. Not going to happen.
Yeah. No, you wouldn't. You'd be talking to me drinking a beer, you bastard.
Well, if it were one-on-one, I would love to. Oh, I can't wait for that day, brother. I can't wait.
Oh yeah. You're just gonna have to somehow make Australia be a real country.
Yeah. They're not even a real country anyway. South Park. Logical's up here. Let's get him in.
Okay, well, to address the 5-year comment, I know that sounds like a long time, but that is kind of the average, really. And it's really frustrating for the parents that are struggling to find out what's wrong with my child and how do I help them. But there's a lot of variables there. How old was the child when he was first started the diagnostic process? What were the any developmental disabilities, if any? And then too, there's the aspect that not every clinician and not every doctor is as good as the others. I hate to say it, but there are some clinicians that are just shit at their job.
The stories I know from being up in Canada is it doesn't take 5 years. That I've just found that shocking because that's not the case up here. No.
That's kind of the way it goes here where I'm at. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and
especially when
me,
you're
the
first starting to take a 4 or
diagnosis-
5-year-old.
Yeah.
What was that, Purple?
For me, the diagnosis largely turned out to be a process of elimination. That they misdiagnosed me with about a dozen different things and then realized why those didn't fit before they came to the right one.
Yeah, just a quick little story. We had an appointment for my son yesterday with his pediatrician, and he did the shapes test. In other words, what's this shape? You go square. What's this shape? Circle. What's this shape? Diamond. What's this shape? Star. He turns around and goes, "That's the 7-year-old test. He's 5."
Damn.
Wow.
But he still can't go to the bloody toilet. No, so just for those that don't know, my son has been diagnosed with global developmental delay, which is paramount to getting on the spectrum of autism. But until the National Disability Insurance System comes along to the party, we can't get the diagnosis done unless we fork out $1,500.
That's insanity.
Ouch.
I love a lot of cash.
It is a hell of a lot
man.
of cash.
Yeah,
But
you don't
it's
just
the
pull
fact
that
that
from
it's
your
a-
butt like validation boys bullshit. I mean, that's real money.
Yeah, and that's a 4-week study, right? But it has to wait for him to go back to school because they have to do 2 visits at the school, one which is with an OT and the other one which is with the psychiatrist, right? Because it has to be a psychiatrist. You can't get a psychologist to make the diagnosis in this country because we've got bureaucracy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sucks.
We have it getting in the way some here too. I'm just thinking because we're actually supposed to be attacking this man. Now we're into a full-on discussion. Tatty, should we maybe get to the video a bit?
Okay, roll film.
Yeah, could be a good idea. What about
Good
halfway
call.
through?
Okay.
Yeah, and we'll pause in 3, 2, 1. Pause.
Don't feel like participating in. How convenient. It's almost like having a cheat code at life that everyone around you is awkwardly forced to play along with. This girl can clearly pick up on all kinds of social cues, but we're supposed to believe that this tool bag can't? I call bullshit. And why is it that most people who claim to have Asperger's don't seem to care about their hygiene or outward appearance? How big of a part does laziness and entitlement play in all of this? Sure, small children can have...
No, I'm sorry. I'm fucking pausing that. What a fucking piece of fucking trashy pish, man. I tell you. I mean, for fuck's sake. I mean, what the fuck's his problem? Is he get
What, he
fucking
thinks-
laid or something? Is his fucking ma on the fucking dab and he can't get a fucking his end away? I mean, fuck's sake. Prick. Sorry.
No,
We need to
Tatty,
make Tatty more
beautiful.
angry more
Tatty,
often because I
that
can
was
actually understand him.
Yeah, the madder he gets, the clearer it is. It's amazing.
Yeah, but where does he get off thinking that just because they have Asperger's they don't have hygiene?
That fucking pissed me off.
Because all
I
he
don't know.
lazy?
That's
Yeah,
just
portrayal.
pulling you out of your ass right there.
Yeah.
he
Amy,
does not
as
help
a-
anybody.
Well, Aimee, as a fellow parent that's raising an autistic child, as the parent, do you find lazy has anything to do with your world in any way?
I'm going to swear, so warning people. Oh, fuck no.
Oh, yeah.
Naughty Amy.
It's not listening to a
Lazy
lamb
is-
swear.
And he's trying to compare apples and oranges. The girl in the first photo, I can recognize as having cerebral palsy. That is a totally different bit of the brain than what autism is in, and it's caused by totally different factors. They're not the same thing in any way. And yes, people with cerebral palsy who don't have other comorbid presentations of other mental health issues can recognize social cues, but like I said, it's a totally different area of the brain.
Yeah, very much. And it's the armchair bullshit. Like he's just like, oh, well, that person doesn't seem to care about this part of their life. So let's see, who can I blame that on? What? And making up hygiene shit and whatnot. Oh,
I tell you what.
Yeah.
I tell you what. If you give me a schedule of when to, it's not, or if I set up, I shouldn't say if one gives me, if you give me a strict how to do stuff, or I come up with it myself, if I get my routine on, I'm one of the cleanest people you'll ever find. If you keep disrupting my routine and not allowing me the time to figure myself out,
yep,
I'm screwed.
Yes.
I'm screwed. Everything's in disarray. Yes, there is some truth to that, but the problem with that is I need my routine. I need it to be clockwork. If it doesn't go like clockwork, it messes with me big time.
I actually had a thought. I had a thought about this venereal disease of a guy. Right, I think he's mixing up having Asperger's or autism or something like that. I think he's mixing it up with having deep clinical depression when you become lazy and you don't wash, you don't shave, you don't change your clothes, you become that bedridden, that unable to do something. He thinks that's what happens to someone with Asperger's. He doesn't understand how high functioning these people become.
Yeah,
they're always on the
absolutely.
move. They're constant. They go.
Hey,
Then they
Dick,
fall asleep.
there's a comment in the live chat from 9 O'Clock Hero that definitely needs the Dick voice.
Oh, okay. Where am I looking here? God, I wish I was better at this.
Just scroll back a little bit, just like 2 above Sarcastic Barman trying to gamble 4,000.
Yeah, I see it.
It's also in the green room.
It's got some effort. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Bill.
It's in the green room. Okay, who's comment again? What am I doing?
9 O'Clock Hero.
9 O'Clock Hero. Right at it's right in the green room. The very last comment that was just posted. Tatty posted it.
Oh,
for you.
okay.
So did Bill.
Fuck! I would hate to meet this wanker.
Well done.
Me too, buddy. Me too.
Me too.
I knew I couldn't do that one justice.
Yeah, okay, just something really funny, right? I've just flicked down on my tablet because I've got some notifications, and I see Chesh Vic, and it's got the description of White Knight. It says a bittersweet brew, ladies' night, white knighted. I'm like, what the hell? This was something I was accused of yesterday from a certain Slick James Johnson because I was just attacking him because, well, he's my bitch. I could probably do the same with Validation Boy if I ever got in a chat with him, right?
Oh yeah.
But anytime I'd interject in an open Discord, I was white knighting because I was apparently coming to save people. Anyway, Druss the Legend turns around and goes, "Do I look like someone who needs saving?"
Yeah.
Let me do a little bit of housekeeping in here, guys, real quick. This is Mr. Victory. Since Validation Boy is not the only, I'm going to put this in, piece of shit that thinks most, if not all, mental illnesses are fake, how do you educate better and find better treatment for mental issues? That's really, really good, right? I want to address that and come back to it. So we got Harry Warp. It took my doctors and psychologists 5 years to diagnose my panic disorder. And that's a long time. And it must have been, well, you know, sorry to make a joke, but panic inducing because you're just looking for the end, right? You know, that must be. And then we got Mr. Victory. My parents didn't believe mental illness for most of my life. Not until my brother got married into a family dealing or now after my divorce and I seek help with my anxiety issues. Exactly. And Beach 8, it took several years for a diagnosis for my son. ADHD, 4 different doctors, but this was 27 years ago. It has improved. And that is a good point because nowadays it's much better. My son's younger. And then we got Mike Bertelson. How the fuck does he know that girl can pick up on social cues? Nothing but a claim to support is ignorant scripted narrative. And you're exactly right. Last one here, stuck in Florida. It was the opposite for me. I would freak out if anything was out of place and washed my hands 20 times a day. And see, there is a bounce back and forth. You never know how it's going to go, right? Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, I got a buzzer in, and it is, well, it's myself. So who's got Dick Dawson in the buzzers? Fuck you guys.
Not me.
Well, speak, you clown.
Well, it wasn't me,
muted.
but
Sorry about that. I was muted.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, that was me who buzzed.
I knew it.
No, like that's exactly what I was about to say. Is that he just showed this random girl on the screen, and you know he just picked a picture because she was making a funny face. And said, "Oh, she can pick up on social cues, but this other person cannot." This dude is just assuming everything he says, and I get the feeling that he saw one person with Asperger's a while back, got jealous that they got special treatment and he didn't, because he thinks that he's the most special person in the world, and then has now put that thought and that emotion that he felt there on everybody with the syndrome. To me, that's how I feel this guy is going off.
Yeah, I reckon he's got blisters from wanking too much, but that's just me.
He's one of those guys that has a 4-gallon tub of goo, and he has a pump, and he just sits there slowly eking it out all day.
Yeah, but he doesn't know what Vaseline is.
No, he uses pumice soap. He really likes it rough.
Buying Kleenex by the pallet.
Yeah, well,
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Good one, Purple.
I have a feeling this next bit of the video, we're not going to go balls deep. We're going to go elbow deep.
Oh.
No. I think that means we better get to it, Tatty.
Oh yeah, I'm all over that, man.
Natural quirks that they'll eventually outgrow. But if these issues persist for too long, then it's probably because the child's parents are encouraging it. At what point does the continued enabling of Aspergy behaviors just become a strange variant of Munchausen syndrome? As
That's a definite pause.
Yeah,
Now,
and we got
was I right?
Blue Earth thing is up first. You were right.
If this guy just claims that the people with Asperger's are growing out of it and the people with autism are growing out of it, well then explain how the fact that we have 2 people on this panel that were diagnosed in their 40s.
Right?
Yeah, that's the first thing I want to say there. That is what I want to say there.
And my
You
mom
grow into it.
She fought the news tooth and nail. She's like, "No, you're not. You're not. You can't be. That's something that children grow out of." She literally tried to tell me that once. And finally, like recently, she got to the point where she's like, "Okay, yes, I was looking into this, and a lot of the behavior fits you as a child." I'm like, "Gee, you think?" You really think so? Maybe the lack of wanting to do schoolwork because I was exhausted from the bullshit at school with the kids had something to do with that. It wasn't that I couldn't learn. I was just exhausted. I didn't want anything to do with school after school was done. Like I didn't want to think about anything to do with it. I wanted to come home and shut my brain down in front of the television instead because I was overthinking and processing all the crap they had to deal with at school.
saying you grow out of Asperger's is like saying there's a cure for clinical depression.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's another point I'd wanted to bring up earlier was that, while there are treatments for the Asperger's, the treatment is with the realization that it's not going to be cured. You're just going to teach them how to better cope with it.
Yeah, management.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, and that's what it is. And the fact that he says that it's Munchausen's, I did not want a diagnosis of autism from my son. I did not want to him to have to go through the things that he's gone through because of his autism. I didn't want that for him. My job as a parent is to protect him and to help him as best I can. And there are things that I cannot fix for him.
That's right.
So when
it breaks you too, like it kills you.
It does. I was heartbroken when he was finally diagnosed. It was when he was around 5 years old. I was fairly newly widowed. I just, and I had to handle this by myself. I did not want to have to handle all of this by myself. I didn't want it. But you know what? He's a beautiful little person, and I was going to do everything in my power to make sure he succeeds. And I still do that, and I will. And to have shit stains like this saying this really rankles me. I'm just like, yeah, I want to go just rip his face off. I just
Get him! Actually, I've got a
Jamie. Unleash the beast.
I reckon he was looking. He was looking for something to equate it to, and I wonder if he thought Munchausen's or Helsinki syndrome, because I reckon he thinks that children with Asperger's are like prisoners to their parents, because he's blaming the parents for encouraging it. I mean, that's just he's a bloody narcissist.
Yeah.
I've got a question, directing at Validation Boy here. Okay, he's claiming this doesn't exist, but I'm betting that if I went on his channel and looked far enough, I'd probably find him ranting about the vaccines, claiming it causes autism.
Yeah, he's one of those.
So it doesn't exist, but vaccines cause it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well.
The only thing vaccines cause is adults.
I've got to ask: is he arguing that autism, as in the sense of like the low functioning autism, if that doesn't exist, or only high functioning autism doesn't exist?
Well, this video was specifically aimed at Asperger's, so I'm assuming that, he's just meaning that. Those people that you cannot obviously tell just by looking at them or listening to them speak that there's something not exactly typical.
Yeah.
And I keep getting the feeling that he's confusing a little bit of like super minor stuff with Asperger's the entire time. As if this guy he obviously doesn't have a grasp of what it is.
He has no clue,
obviously not. And this is where I talk about a little bit of knowledge is more dangerous than no knowledge at all, because he's probably met one or two people with Asperger's or autism. He's probably read one, maybe two articles if he's lucky about the topic, and then found a way to fit it into his very small-minded, racist, misogynistic little flat earth world.
Yeah. Absolutely. Let me do a tiny bit of housekeeping here, guys. Let's see here. The real non sequitur. Validation Boy needs some pineapple on his pizza. He'll be all good then. I do like that. And Dark Knight Apologetics. I like him. Somebody tried to tell me I could grow out of ADHD. That is just not how it works. And it's right. Slim Living Cyborg. I dated somebody whose child was autistic. It is a very real disease, and we were not coddling him. And yeah, that is true. I mean, my son is very gentle, but even still, you can't just you have to push them forward. Jutmonkthedrunk Monkey was in the chat. Validation boy needs to validate the fact that he doesn't have any sense. And I like that. I tried to do my best Jutmonk, but sorry, I'm just not him, fucking globe denying wank spanners. There, we got a little Jut in, right?
You're too sober.
General Mayhem. I wonder if Validation Boy's butt gets jealous that his mouth took over the job of dribbling Oakleys out of it. I call poops Oakleys. That was awesome. And Slim Limming. I got that one in already. Oh, okay. I see somebody's just confusing the shit out of me in the back here. So AV Science just tried to Google Validation Boy vaccine, and our previous video on him was actually a higher result than his channel.
Excellent.
That's amazing. Okay, I'll shut up now. You guys can take over again. Thank you.
Okay,
and I don't.
movie.
I don't want to. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Devros.
Yeah, the background of Validation Boy is the fact that, well, I have a feeling Mummy treated him bad and he can't get his end wet.
Possible, but I wanted to address one of those comments where he said autism is a disease. Don't mean to split hairs, but people who know me know that I like to use language correctly. Autism is not a disease. Diseases are caused by viruses, bacterias, a miscarriage in the person's immune system, whatever, for a lot of different reasons, right? Autism is a atypical brain development that can cause some atypical behavioral patterns. It can cause some inabilities to be able to recognize certain things, and it just in general just causes an ability, causes them to relate to the outside world. By that I mean outside their own skull. It just causes them to relate to the outside world differently than people with typical brain development. So it's not a disease. It's a brain development issue.
And I would go so far as to call that part of the problem is that the people who are saying vaccines cause autism, etc., trying to find some cure for it as if it is a disease when it isn't. Like,
no.
Right.
That's the problem with the autism speaks.
Right. I haven't actually wasn't even going to touch on them, but you did, and yeah, that's a problem with them is they act like it's a disease.
Yeah, that could be a whole separate show.
Yeah,
so and that goes too far there.
And that goes back to one of our comments in the previous little segment where they asked about, public education and that sort of thing to correct these types of misunderstandings. What really chaps my gears about my profession is that in other areas of science, when new information is available, it's disseminated to the public through documentaries, public broadcasting system here in the United States, and through the school systems. But when it comes to psychology, when we make new discoveries and we make advancements in diagnosis and clinical, in the clinical setting, that doesn't normally get filtered out into the general public so that the old 80, 90, 100-year-old stereotypes are still in play in a lot of people's minds. And there's a lot of my colleagues who are just fucking fed up with that, which is why if you look on YouTube, you'll find a lot of psychiatrists, mental health therapists, clinical psychologists, research psychologists, who are doing their part to try to educate the general public about what we now know and how those stereotypes are no longer relevant and must be eradicated at all costs. And I will be joining them.
Excellent.
What can you see?
Sheep.
You see sheep?
Yeah.
You see? Yeah. Hi there, Nicholas.
Yeah.
Hi, Amy.
Hi, Amy.
Hi. Hi, Nicholas. How are you?
I say.
Say shut up, Dick.
Say something.
He's precious.
Gotcha, buddy.
Or at least
let's-
somebody has the balls to stand up to me and say it.
Chucky McNubbin has a great comment too. He said, when I was a teen, there was a general stigma attached to autism. It was almost like a fear. There was also a lot of misinformation too, and that is correct. That is very correct. There still is a stigma attached to it. It's hard to have to deal with, but I do see it, and Matt and I have experienced it going out and doing things, and people sometimes can be very scared of him. We've cleared playgrounds on accident before, so it's hard.
It is. And I was going to say, I think that's part of why my mom reacted so negatively to it, because she was born in the 40s, and to her, autism was either someone who acted like Rain Man all the time or someone who couldn't talk at all. That was autism, not her son, not my kid. Right? There's a stigma attached to it, even with people who need to have the information and need to treat it the way it should be treated. It's hard, and she's an older lady. Like, I'm 40, she's in her late 70s at this point. So yeah.
Yeah, well, 30 years ago, the lower functioning autistics, like you just described, was all that we recognized, but we have made advancements, and the general public just has not been made aware of it. Then we did get a super chat from Bella Charge. I'd like to read out, New Zealand, $5. The worst thing is the more we understand. The worst thing is that the more we understand it, the more conditions we put into the spectrum. So it gives those damn idiot anti-vaxxers numbers to add. Absolutely correct.
Absolutely correct. Great show, Bella Charge. Great show.
They don't know how to number. They don't know how to number. They can't do math. They are stupids. Okay.
Yeah, they can't scale either. I mean, you can't. They got no scale, so they can't adjust for population explosion and greater diagnosis that put more people into service and help and stuff. So they have no concept. It's
Yeah, it reminds me of a particular study I read that was done last year. Over 653,000 children, from childhood up to teenage years, they were tested for vaccine causing autism. Guess what? No correlation.
No doubt.
But here's the excuse from the dummies, Oh, it was funded by Big Pharma. Well, who else is going to do the study of the vaccines that they're putting into children?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, and to quote Hannibal Lecter, do you think you can diagnose me with this blunt little tool?
Well, and as far as past generations not being diagnosed, I'm quite convinced that my father was also on the autistic spectrum, but in his generation, no one even knew the word.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, myself, I'm 50 years old, and I am on the spectrum. It's now known. But nobody had any idea I was anything other than this slightly oddball misfit. That's it.
Yep.
Yeah. But, I look at my father, and it's like he really didn't socialize at all. The only people he talked to were the buddies from his army unit or people that were in his labor union. That was it. He had no real friends of his own.
Yeah, for me, it was the guys in the band. I literally spent 30 years with a guitar in my hand, just shutting out everybody else because it really worked for me, right?
Yep.
Well, my dad's 80, and I'm pretty sure he's on the spectrum. I think there's a huge genetic component to autism. I believe that. I don't know if there's no truth to it or not, but I believe there's a huge genetic component to it because my dad, I'm like a carbon copy. Really, I am. Like, my only associations are work and this now, like this kind of stuff, or, work, and that was it. And the few friends I did have that were outside of that, guess what? They were all on the spectrum in some way or another at one point. They were either ADHD or autism spectrum or something along those lines because they were easier to get along with for me.
Yep.
Yeah, and in the interest of PSA. I would like to let everybody know in the live chat that don't take a test that you find in Cosmopolitan, Men's Health Magazine, Fitness Magazine, and self-diagnose. Don't read the DSM. It's not written for you. It's written for people like me. And it's hard enough for people that are educated in this to read the goddamn DSM. If you or somebody you love may be experiencing a mental health issue, such as autism spectrum or depression or anything else, go seek professional help. Ask them the questions. Let them ask you questions. Find out what, if any, diagnosis that you have so that you can have a treatment plan, because the whole purpose of mental health is for people to be able to rise above whatever problem they're experiencing and improve their quality of life.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. A quick little housekeeping here. Slim Living Cyborg, wanted everybody to know, sorry to misstate that, did mean disorder. And yes, I actually, my brain took it that way. So absolutely. Warren Evans, I come from a social health care system, so the cost of long-term treatment is non-existent. So I can't imagine the long-term costs for families in America. And it's the same for me, Warren. It scares the hell out of me. Slim Living Cyborg, I have been diagnosed with ADHD and dyslexia, most likely other things that have not been diagnosed. So I understand the difference. And yeah, exactly. I wouldn't doubt that I have a couple undiagnosed ones too. A bunch of us, to be honest. Mr. Victory, I met a lot of pricks in my ears, but Validation Boy is a whole fucking cactus and the scum of a worm's butt. Oh my God. It's like he's writing my lines. I love this guy. And there we have a buzzer, so I'm saved by the bell. Is it logical or is it Blue Earth thing?
That would be me.
Okay.
If it's you, it's me. Just heads up.
Go for it, buddy.
Yeah, so one thing that just crossed my mind is that could it be that so we're kind of living in a time where, as you list all of us out, and I'm sure almost all of us have been diagnosed with at least something, and we're living in a time where a lot of people are getting diagnosed with things, and it seems as if someone like Validation Boy thinks that that's a bad thing, that anytime you get diagnosed with something, that means you get diagnosed with a bad thing. And so he keeps seeing, I'm going to play a little bit of armchair psychologist and try to dive into his mind real quick. And I'm not a trained psychologist. So don't take this seriously. Just take it with a grain of salt. But one thing that I am seeing, and one thing that I'm viewing, is that maybe he is seeing all these people get these cards that are saying, I've got a bad thing, treat me differently, because he thinks that these things are bad things. So he keeps projecting that onto people, and he thinks that all these people are getting these cards, and he thinks, I feel as if he thinks that people are just going to take advantage of it and use it and everything, because he views everything that's diagnosed as a bad thing. I know I'm not explaining that very well, but do you catch what I'm saying there?
Yeah, on the layman's side, it makes great sense where you're going. Absolutely.
Yeah, and what you're trying to say, and I get it completely, Blue, and you're dead on, is that people like Validation Boy still hold that old social stereotype that a mental health issue is a character flaw rather than a medically diagnosable illness that can be treated.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I take this from a little bit of my point of view, because I am diagnosed with, or I used to think that dyslexia and ADHD were bad things in myself, but more and more I learned from it, and I took a language class and everything, and they told us is like, if you actually look into it, and with specifically dyslexia, and you dive into that one, it's not that it's a bad thing because you can't read really well. It's because you're thinking differently. It's not that you are worse than everyone else at this thing. It's just that you're doing it in a completely different fashion. And that makes perfect sense. And it makes perfect sense to be diagnosing people with how they think differently, because that just means that we're learning more about how people think and how people's brains develop. And I think the word diagnose has a negative connotation throughout through society. And that's where this guy's coming from, and that's all he knows. Again, it comes from my philosophy when it comes to conspiracy theorists is that they only have a surface scratching view of the world, and they don't go any deeper than that. So when he thinks diagnose, he thinks bad. So
I got a comment I want to read from Beach 8.
All right.
Says, I bet he is on the spectrum in one way or another, and it scares the shit out of him, so he lashes out. That's a possibility.
Wow.
It really is.
Yeah.
That is, yeah.
And the
And Slim's
sarcastic
living-
barman wants to jump in. Sorry there, Aimee, but we finally got barman wanting to say something. We got to hear this.
Well, back on the dyslexia bit that was just said, because when I was obviously younger, going to school, and the school I was going to at the time for 3 years just basically told my parents, your son is stupid, your son can't spell, he can do maths, but he's basically stupid. And my parents were like, oh, he's not stupid. We've spoke to him. We know he's not stupid. They changed the school I was going to, and within a month of being in that school, they sent me to go for a dyslexia test and found out I was like quite high dyslexia on the level of what that was, which means I've got a high IQ, but it just means that, as I said, my brain doesn't work right with colours and words and letters are back to front. It's not good. It's easier for me to see white on black, as in white letters on a black background, so much so that the special classes I went to in school still had blackboards rather than whiteboards, because my brain doesn't see the colours the same like that, and it's more confusing for my brain, which is really weird. It's, and backwards letters and things. But for years, how little it's understood, because we've now found out my dad had dyslexia. Both my brother, has dyslexia. Both my uncles have got dyslexia. My brother had dyslexia. I'm pretty sure my sister has, but very mildly. We never got her tested because she seemed to cope and didn't need the support anyway. But yeah.
Are we part of the same family there, Barman?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
I feel like you're describing my family too. Mine is not the colors. Mine is seeing the very center of the word and not be able to read left to right. That's me.
I just unclicked purple by accident, but purple's waiting. You're up. There we go.
Yeah, well, the other thing, the validation boy made a comment about it being a get out of jail free card. So it's like, he's seemed kind of jealous that having the diagnosis, he feels people are using it as an entitlement.
I think you nailed it on the head there.
I think so.
That's pretty good shout. Absolutely. A couple things we better get to. Chucky McNubbin. Pity those ignorant people seem to miss the fact that the guy who did the original study was debunked by his peers in under 12 months. So we must be talking about vaccines there, right?
Yeah.
Let's see here. We've got Glober Mom. My son's father was diagnosed with a learning disability when he was a lot younger, but when the term ADD, ADHD came about in the 90s, I am convinced that's what he had, ADHD. And absolutely, right? There's something, but then they finally figure it out. And we got Warren Evans at the Sarcastic Barman. Can you ask Aimee what is the overall long-term cost for diagnosis and treatment? Because here in the UK, it's all in the house. So that's for you, Aimee.
I've been lucky enough to, since it's just my son and I, that we do qualify for Medicaid, which is basically, it's for low income people. We don't have much money, so we get Medicaid for him. So it really hasn't cost us anything, but it can cost in the thousands, definitely, for people who don't have insurance or if it's not covered by insurance. Like just therapy alone is like $250 an hour. If we didn't have insurance, we couldn't get it.
Cover the diagnosis part. My diagnosis, because I got mine out of pocket because I bounced back and forth between a psychiatrist and a neurologist, and each one was pointing the finger at the other doctor saying it's his problem. No, it's his problem. No, it's his problem. And I finally said, I've had enough of this. I'm going to a neuropsychologist, and I paid $1,600 out of pocket for my diagnosis.
Ouch.
Wow.
And that's US, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah, come get some universal health care like Australia and Canada, eh?
Oh, we do have a good shout from, we have a good shout from one of our own, AB Science. Love you, brother. Wish you were here, man. And this one was sent to Logical and I think myself, but also important to recognize that it is important to seek treatment for what you think you need treatment for.
Absolutely. You know, if you go in for having depressive issues and they want to start talking to you about manic issues or bipolar issues, it's like, no, you're experiencing depression issues. So yeah, you got to tell us what it is that you're experiencing so we know how to address it appropriately.
Yeah, I'm experiencing dick.
Well, what we're experiencing right now is the welcoming moment of our very own most well-loved scientist, Mr. AB Science. Welcome to the show, buddy. I saw you going crazy in the comments. I had a feeling you wouldn't be able to hesitate. How you doing, man? Or did I catch you too early and you haven't set up all your fancy little gears yet? Is he still muted? I don't think he was ready.
Click the mouse.
Yeah, take it, Davros, until he's ready here, buddy. What were you going to jump in with?
Yeah, I find it funny that the more intelligent guys on the panel seem to have trouble unmuting themselves. It seems to happen quite a lot. We have Professor Phil on the Aussie Perspective on a regular basis. He has troubles with avatars, unlocking his microphone, making sure his camera's off before he comes in, because sometimes we see the back of his head.
And yet he's brilliant, right?
Yeah.
I think I just got called a dumbass because I know how to work my own mute button. I'm not entirely sure, but it's possible.
Yeah, you did, actually. You did. AB's unmuted. Oh, he's muted again. Damn, I thought we had him.
Oh, well, I can carry on. Projection much there, Mr. Troglodyte? Would you like to talk about it?
No, just insecurity issues.
You're just not mute button savant. You're just not mute button savant. Just saying.
Yeah. I got a question for Tatty here. Tatty, is this video properly only 3 minutes-ish long, right?
Yeah, so when all 3 hours on the stream?
Yeah. I'm just thinking, how can this ever work? Is AB ready to join us now?
Oh, yes, I am here.
Yeah, AB buddy. Hey, how's it going, man?
Struggling I had the headphone jack in the wrong sound card and all of that recording nonsense. Yeah. But yeah, I'm here.
Excellent. How's life for you, man? What's happening?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Well, busy as per usual, but I just heard the word vaccines pop up, and generally mental health. With the whole autism side, I have very little input on that. The only thing I know about it is the research that my partner does, but I have a very limited understanding of that. But yeah, mental health, I do happen to know a thing or two about that with my background. But yeah, I thought I'd join in because there was going to be a bit of vaccine talk. I thought.
Well, yes. I propose this, everybody. I propose this. Why don't we just let the damn video play for the rest in its entirety? Everybody take a couple of notes, and when the video ends, we will go on full-on attack. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, another well-loved SOB in this family has joined us. It is Dead Kennedy in Space himself, Mr. Kevin Kennedy.
Why the fuck wasn't I told we're going live?
Didn't you know? Are you kidding?
No.
It's the same reason why I wasn't told we were going live, because you and I both never pay attention to the Discord because we've got shit rather than these unemployed people.
Oh, hey, come on. I homeschool a child. Never mind. So I guess I just have to say lesson learned, guys.
DM me or something, because the fucking Discord moves way too fast.
It does. Our Discord is like. Well,
How about this, guys?
If you guys don't realize that our private Discord moves faster than any public Discord. I've just had a look at fucking at the Flat Earth Discords. I just had a look for the very first time, and I thought, holy shit! Compared to the private one where it's just us. This thing is fucking.
And the private one, the channel names change faster than your regular Discord goes to just chats. The damn channel names change all the fucking time.
Yeah, it's war. It's war.
I love Flat Earth Discord. I love Flat Earth Discord.
Yeah, I just have to jump in. I have to jump out quickly. I have to make a phone call because we've just had a tree fall on our fence. So, destroy whatever, and I'll be back to see what path of destruction you guys have left.
Awesome. I hope it all works out good.
I'm just going to
well, it's not my tree.
AB Science and Dead Kennedy, though, because we do have a scheduling room. I don't know if it's up to date, but at least we have a scheduling room.
In theory, we do have that.
A room doesn't make a difference. A room doesn't make a difference because we have fucking 30 rooms. And if I'm not tagged or something, I don't know what's going on. Look at this shit. 64 new messages.
I think, Barman, what you're not realizing is that we're not blaming any of you guys.
No, it's just the system is broken.
It's just that we have no way of keeping track of it.
I've got an idea, guys. I got an idea. What we'll do is a WhatsApp Messenger group where we only use it for scheduling, so everybody's on track.
Yeah,
or
I always mute my WhatsApp app as well.
Oh God. Okay, then how about this?
That is
how about this?
By which my family communicates.
Well, how about this? How about this? Everybody sign into the same Google Calendar, like a shared calendar, and then you've got it on your phone.
I don't use Google Calendar. And no matter what we do, as soon as you let Anti-Flatter near anything with technology that he can put messages on, it's going to be broken.
Let's not have this private housekeeping conversation in public because that shows how much of a fucking mess we really are.
Okay.
I mean,
the bottom line here,
a mess, but
the takeaway is we are an actual family. It's fucking ridiculous. So, Chatty, play that fucking video, white boy, and let's get right to the end of it and then rip it to shreds.
Okay, let's roll. Here we go, folks.
What the hell just happened there?
Oh, yeah, fucker, yeah.
He's broke it.
Right. Now.
Hello, YouTube. Validation Boy here. Is fibromyalgia even real? There are no biomedical indicators for fibromyalgia. There are no tests for fibromyalgia. There are literally no diagnostic criteria for fibromyalgia. The symptoms of this so-called condition.
Well, he was at the autism one.
He just literally took out autism spectrum disorder or Asperger's or whatever the hell he called it, and put in fibromyalgia. Like,
it's the same script. Yeah,
it is.
It is.
It's fucking ridiculous, right? Because, well, firstly, right, I have to get this out there. It's his voice, the way he speaks.
Oh,
yeah. I fucking hate it. But fibromyalgia, right? I had to type in FIB, and I was given, as a suggested result, the diagnostics for it. And he is claiming that there's no diagnosis for it.
Yeah. Well, there is, because I have it. I've gone through it and I have it. So I can tell you absolutely that there is. You fucking moron. Fuck. I hate this guy.
He's getting. Jesus Christ. He's saying that there's no method of diagnosing it. It's really simple. Come on.
Oh, man. I'd like to go to the Baseball Hall of Fame and get Babe Ruth's bat and stuff it up his ass. Fuck.
Yeah, this is the same stupid motherfucker that was talking about Asperger's people are they are lazy and they don't shower and personal hygiene. Well, how fucking lazy it to use the same goddamn script and just remove, like Ghoul said, one word for another. Get fucking original for Christ's sake.
It is just fucking ad libs, isn't it? It's got a script and it's just written some blanks, and he'll just stick whatever word is in there. It's just ad libs.
Yeah.
I've got the funny feeling he's used to blanks.
We better go to Blue Earth thing, guys. He's been waiting here.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think this is about all the time I got. I've got to head out here. So.
Bummer. Okay.
I'm gonna pop out of the chat. Good talking to all you guys. Sucks that I couldn't have been on with AB Science and Kennedy. As soon as y'all show up, I gotta go.
Yeah.
But yeah, this dude just seems like an asshole, a lazy asshole at that. He can't even write 2 different scripts. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I said everything I wanted to say on the subject, and I've got to go because I got to get some work done. So. I'll see you guys later.
Fair enough.
Catch you later, Blue Man.
Thank you.
Catch you later.
See you guys.
My general understanding, so I'm a late joiner in the stream, but from what I've seen from Validation Boy, or VD Boy, as I like to call him, is that he is a very confused individual, and he is struggling with a lot of issues now. I do not want to diagnose from a distance, absolutely not, and I will, quite happily attack anyone who will try to do that whole diagnosis from a distance. But I do have a suspicion that he, from his videos, that he struggles with his own identity, his own sexuality, and his own mental state. Just from that, just from all of those things that he so furiously attacks. And he came over to one of my videos and commented once on something, and I left a less than pleasant response to his comment, but he was very quick to point out that he was a straight white man with a woman and all of those things.
Wow.
It was apropos of nothing. And he just came on with some stupid comment of calling me some I think it was something like some tranny loving it was a Jew loving beta faggot or something like that. So and well,
how many minorities can you offend in one sentence?
Well, precisely, and it's just that thing. It's like, well, tranny loving, and I know a few people who identify as trans, and I don't give a shit. They're people like everyone else. Yeah, that's their thing. Now, Jew loving, yes. I've dated a few Jewish girls. Technically, I'm a Jew ex-lover, but and it's all of those things. But I just kind of turned the script around on him, and it wasn't even that obvious or anything. And he was just so quick to point out that he was a straight white man, big alpha, and that he's been with this woman for X amount of years, and all of those things, apropos of almost nothing. And that just makes me question all of that. Like, who are you trying to prove this to? Yourself or to me? Because I
protest too much.
Precisely.
Yeah, if you actually have to point out that you're an alpha.
Yeah.
You may know alpha.
You're not the alpha.
But yeah, he's a tragic individual, and the thing is that from my perspective, I just find him funny, but I know that he offends a lot of people, and he is an absolute cunt. But without having any emotional investment in it myself, I was like, oh, you're just a really sad individual.
Yeah, very much, very much. The fact that he's using the same script for two different things, to me, shows that I'm not even sure he believes his own bullshit. He's just so lost in conspiracy-style thinking that everything must not be as it seems.
Exactly.
He could just be a mindless agitator, right? And, if the... and it's just being that contrarian, because there's that... in his circle, I've made the comment before, kind of offline between ourselves. It's like, when did it happen that conspiracies became a right-wing thing? Because from my recollection, it was always the lefties that were, that were the really conspiratorial lots about the big evil corporations and stuff like that. But now it seems to be the right wing, and it's almost always kind of a bit reactionary.
Well, I think it became right wing because the flat Earth is Bible based, and it kind of grew from there.
Yeah, but I don't want to attribute the religion to left or right wing, because half of my family is quite, well, not half of my family. There's a good part of my family who are quite religious, and it is the religious members of my family who are the most left wing. And then you have the more atheist side, who are a bit more on the neoliberal conservative side, and so I wouldn't attribute it to that, and I wouldn't attribute it to flat Earth, because I think the right wing conspiracies really predate the massive growth that we've seen in flat Earth, and obviously eventual death of flat Earth, or decrease is a better word, of flat Earth. But because I witnessed this in my brother's partner, who, when I first met her, she was she was a big lefty, but she was really into conspiracies, and it was actually the conspiracies that got her from being someone who is a bit too socialist for my liking, to outright being a Donald Trump supporter, right?
Yeah, well, I don't think it's the Christians in general, but I think it's the people who insist on taking the Bible very literally, and they're the ones who are leading a lot of the conspiracies now.
Seems to be. I see a lot of it.
If you're taking the Bible literally, you cannot take everything of the Bible literally. You have to cherry pick.
You have to,
because you cannot have a particular political ideology in the current sense if you take everything in the Bible literally, because there's so many conflicting ideas. So if you take everything literally, then you have to consider in your head, you have to consider that actually you have to resolve a lot of these conflicts in your head, and that doesn't lead to leaning either way politically. You cannot take it literally, and there's always an interpretation, and your interpretation, whether you call yourself a literalist or not, you're lying to yourself, because you are taking certain verses, certain chapters as literal, and others you are ignoring.
Yeah, you have to do it that way. Let me just jump for a sec here, AB. We got a little housekeeping to do. A few comments too far behind here. Quit asking me to sprinkle them titties, says, I was diagnosed with severe depression stemming from my injury. Joking around on streams like this really helps. More than meds, but that's just me and not everyone. And, well, sure, I find it helps too because of the fibromyalgia and stuff. Let me just look here. There's Chucky McNubbin. Yeah, Validation Boy is just smarmy, greasy, petty little snake oil seller con artist. He's looking for subs from people who don't know any better. Exactly. Right. Exactly. Mippet69 said, yes, Dick, go. My doctor diagnosed me. So that must have been when I was all pissed off. And then Slim Living Cyborg, I would like to burn this guy with a hot skewer and then throw ice on it. Ooh, I would love to help with that. Absolutely. There was one here. I'm just scrolling through. I'm just so terrible at this. Oh, thoughts by Jay Brown. Validation Boy still has a bad case of verbal diarrhea. Has science figured out how to get Pepto-Bismol into the brain directly? And that just might help him. Thoughts by Jay Brown. I'm willing to give it a try. I'm willing. Anybody else line up because I'm taking first on this. And there was John Rapp for a super chat in there. I think we did miss this. So sorry, John Rapp, Australian $5. For Nicholas, g'day, mate. Is your mom better than Superman? I bet she's pretty smart, huh? Pretty smart and pretty, right? I know where he's teasing there. That's a really good one, John. Awesome. Thanks, man. And Roger Rabbit, there are fringes for every ideology, political or religious. Very true. Jenny Morgan. Hey, Jen, how you doing, honey? All you hypocrites, no one I have ever known or know now would ever date a trans woman. If they would, why haven't they asked me out?
Because babes would chop part of me off.
Yeah,
but you know, we can take that as a joke. We can take that as a serious question as well. Let's be serious. I have never been in a situation where that was presented to me.
No, myself either. So, yeah. Actually, maybe it. Yeah. That's a really good point because you don't really have an answer if you're not sure, right?
Yeah.
Right. You've never been there.
I haven't been presented that situation. Oh, I think we are buffering quite heavily.
Yeah, I've been there. I've done it. That's why I say pansexual instead of bisexual. I've had relationships with more than two genders.
Nice. Experience speaks. That's what I love about this place. You never know what you're going to get. Absolutely.
Exactly.
I got kind of a question to get it back to what AB was just talking about. And this kind of goes towards logical troglodyte or any other mental health professional in the stream or live chat. Would it be safe to say that it's almost a groupthink thing when it comes to conspiracy theorists, which is why it seems a lot like religious fundamentalism? Because it's all about the groupthink and the belonging to somebody who knows something that others don't.
Well, that's that's something that Logical and I have discussed quite a lot. It's about, and it is my opinion that conspiratorial beliefs. A lot of that kind of a big driver for that is a sense of belonging and being a member of that group. It gives a person identity because to a certain extent conspiratorial thinking it allows an individual to write off their own failures, and it can be a completely secular thing. It does not have to be a religious thing, and in fact I think with with the more secular side of the conspiratorial thing, it is even more powerful, because at least with the religious thing, you can, if you are really, like, I'm not talking about the sensible, religious people that make up the majority of this world. I'm talking about the really kind of big religious nutters who will chalk up all of their who will chalk everything up to God's will. Because you have the two sides. It's like something goes right, and yay, it is God's will, and then they get to believe that it's their own failure. The failures are due to themselves. But you have the other side. You have the other side of people who will go, everything is God's plan, even their failures, and you can ascribe your failures to that. But then you have the conspiratorial side, where you can ascribe your successes to your own skill, your own competence, and you can blame all of your failures to the man.
Yeah, we got some people on the buzzers here, AB. I better get to logical. I think I'm doing this in the right order.
Yeah, and as a psychological term, groupthink wouldn't be appropriate, I think, to use in this case for your question, Bull. Groupthink as a psychological term speaks to a behavior pattern that an individual will take on as part of a organized group or an impromptu group that they ordinarily wouldn't take, such as, there's a group of people standing around, maybe someone's being raped and nobody is moving to the defense of, the victim. That's an example of a groupthink. Everybody's afraid to move.
Is that groupthink, or is that just the bystander syndrome?
Well, a little bit of both. But then you also got, say a group of people all of a sudden decide as a mob to go attack somebody, whereas as individuals on their own, they wouldn't normally take on that behavior, because they're not normally aggressive, But I think in this case with conspiracy theorists, the group narcissism is kind of where it ends up, but it starts out as an individual thing, a life to satisfaction thing, like AB was talking about, trying to find some purpose, some direction, some reason for why I don't have the life satisfaction that I think I deserve or should have. So got two choices. You can be proactive and try and decide what your goals are. Say you want to be a physicist, so you can choose to go to school and learn to be a physicist and then go apply for a job as a physicist, or you could sit and whine and whinge and point the finger and say, well, it's all because of XYZ why I can't get into college, and then you start looking, and the conspiracy theories it's just an easy way, it's an easy out, it's a easy answer to a complex problem. Then once you get into the conspiracy thinking, that leads to delusional thinking, which leads to finding groups, which then eventually culminates in this group narcissism.
Yeah. So if I can interject before we go to the buzzer, because I just wanted to address a few points, because I think you are right with that method. But once someone is down the rabbit hole, in that sense, and they've found that group, I think groupthink definitely takes effect. But I think also an important differentiation between groupthink and bystander effect is whether you actively participating, being subject to groupthink, or whether you are a passive bystander who does not interfere, being the bystander effect.
Yeah, that's certainly two different things, and we could go for the next 3 hours talking about it back and forth. It's a complex issue, yes.
Before we nerd out, let's go to the buzzers.
Yeah, we got Dead Kennedy in space here, if he knows what he wanted to say.
Well, I mean, as far as groupthink goes, maybe I'm confused, but I thought the main characteristic of groupthink was a lack of questioning the narrative. Like the group has the belief, and if you even come in and say, hey, are we sure we're right about this? Like that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen at all with groupthink. It's just there's the narrative and you stick to the narrative. I could be totally wrong about that.
Yeah, but that's an essential component. If you know, and that's what I mean with and the differentiation between groupthink and a bystander effect is that for you to actively take part in something that you know is wrong, that's groupthink. For you to actively take part. Right, groupthink is a big component in that, and the bystander effect is just doing nothing.
Right. Okay. Yeah. The
sense?
bystander effect is like what you always see that example of, you know, the homeless person who clearly needs medical attention and people are just walking right past him.
Yeah, and it's that. But there's a great little thing that I've wanted to try. Wow, in effect, I have actually tried it because I was once stranded in London without, you know, my wallet was stolen, and you know, I looked, you know, perfectly acceptable by normal standards, and I know there's a homeless guy just down there, you know, about 50 paces from me. The homeless guy would be asking for money. It would be ignored by the guy in the suit, but there's me standing there in a suit, and just saying, I'm stuck, I need to get home. And the same guy that would reject, you know, would not even give 50 pence to the homeless guy, would hand me a £20 note. And that's that, isn't it? Because they identified me as a member of their group and all that. But yeah, that's a different story. I think that's a bit tangential to it, actually. But yeah, it's about there's certainly a group identity that absolutely is essential.
Bullionator's been waiting a while. We gotta get to him here, guys.
Actually, my buzz was the one that started all this, so you can skip.
Oh, see, I wasn't sure if I went in the right order or not there. I got totally lost. Trying to keep up the comments and everything and juggle this at the same time is literally killing me. I don't understand how the Aimee makes this look so easy. I'm dying over here, man.
Just used to it now, I guess.
Yeah, it's way too fast for me. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And Mippet has a good one there. We have to also shill out the Aussie shill show, the Aussie perspective. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, but Surf and a couple people were asking if they could shill things out. Yeah, just drop the links, guys. Go for it.
Yeah, we're the Shills after all. So
yeah, that's exactly it, man. That's the whole point. And JM Truth versus MC Toon is coming up very soon. So we are capping the show so everybody can go and watch MC Toon wipe the fucking floor with that goddamn moron. Oh, I can't wait. And I know Linda and Mike Bertelson will be there laughing their heads off with every word that comes from MC Toon, just like I will. Oh yeah, baby, it's gonna be amazing. So yeah, I'll shut up now. Go ahead. What were we gonna do? Were we gonna let's see, how long do we have to go until MC Toon? Somebody will figure it out and put it in the chat, I'm sure. Okay, so there's only like 2 minutes to this video. Should we just shut up, play it, and then we can get to the end of things? What do you think? Yeah, let's do it.
As we had planned to do.
Yeah, we tried, but you know, it's the Shills, and it's just with this group, you can't wrangle the feral cats that much. It's impossible. One always gets out the box and has something to say. All right, let's go.
I'm stepping away from the podcast.
Yeah, we were 2 sentences in as well.
Cannot be proven. There are no legitimate forms of treatment available for fibromyalgia. The only thing they will do for someone with this alleged condition is hook them up with some opioids and a doctor's note that they can use to call out of work. Most of the people who claim to suffer from fibromyalgia are female, and it's a known fact that women are far more likely to fib their way out of a workday than men are. Think about it. It's a unique condition that no doctor can accurately describe, and it grants the patient a free pass out of any social situation they don't feel like participating in. How convenient. It's almost like having a cheat code at life that everyone around you is awkwardly forced to play along with. The next time you end up working alongside someone with fibromyalgia, you should take the time to find out what their interests are. You'll quickly recognize a pattern by which their condition flares up. Their favorite band is in town on Tuesday. Their fibromyalgia will flare up on Wednesday. The latest installment of Disney's Frozen comes out on Thursday. Their fibromyalgia will flare up that very morning. But if they have plans for a 9-hour flight to the UK to get banged out by some crusty old vegan bitch's sloppy seconds, then the condition will be miraculously non-existent. And why is it that most people who claim to have fibromyalgia always seem to honestly believe that they are the most intelligent person in the entire world? How big of a part does laziness and entitlement play in all of this? If someone with this condition has you convinced they're actually telling the truth about how much pain they are in, you should ask them if they've ever messed with a Ouija board or any other kind of self-serving magical witchcraft practices. The answer will always be yes. And from that, you should easily be able to surmise the real source of their phantom pain. As always.
Oh my god! What the hell is wrong with this guy?
Oh,
my
Jesus,
God.
Jesus fucking Christ. I was just about to type it in the chat, but we've been playing that, and I hope everyone in the chat actually appreciates how loud we were fucking shouting through that whole thing. We were shouting fucking pause every second, but bloody Tatty was refusing. Jesus fucking Christ.
How
Linda Burleson. I know.
3 minutes.
Linda Bertelsen says somebody needs to beat this guy with a crowbar all over his body and not give him any pain meds, and then tell him it doesn't hurt and that it's all in his head.
Seriously, it wasn't even 2 words in, and we all shouted pause. Fucking hell!
Oh my God! I tell you, man, this guy is a fuck knuckle of the fucking highest order, man. I tell you, an absolute fucking trumpet. If I ever I swear to Christ, man, if I ever come across this arsehole in the fucking chat, or please, in real life, I swear to Christ, man, I'm going to tear him an arsehole the size of fucking Kansas. That's what he's going down.
I would love to find out if he actually has the balls to call me a beta faggot in real life, face to face.
That's an interesting conversation to come into.
Especially face to face, because AB is somewhat akin to a giant, man.
Well, it literally was the same script as the last video.
It is.
Yeah. Only he added Satanism to the whole thing. They played with Ouija boards, and that's what caused them to get it.
Yeah, and a little bit of misogyny as for the boot.
So,
yeah.
Have you ever played with Ouija boards? Do you regularly do it? Is that just something you do as a general pastime?
Oh, geez, I just play with some algebraic numbers, and that gives me some form of spooky. That's right. Hang on, that's a fundamental particle, isn't it?
We got a super chat, and I have to read this out. I really, really have to. Bella Charge, New Zealand, $5. Thank you very much, Bella Charge. Damn, bitch, citation needed. I work with a lot of guys who pussy out of a day's work. Are you at work? No? Guess we know who is a fucking cockbag now. I love it.
I love it.
Fucking shade, man. Oh.
Exactly.
Oh, Stephen Cuparison's in the chat there. Hold on a minute here. I fucked that right up. This guy is by far the most despicable, disgusting, putrid, festering sack of amphibian shit there has ever been. And someone needs to take it out of a fucking burn it with napalm. I agree. You know what? I think to do a crowdfunding. We could get ourselves some napalm and just, mail it on over and say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Obviously I'm joking, but oh man, just imagine, let your imagination go. There was a couple of shouts that I wanted to get out there. We got in shit by somebody that we know there. Where is it? Damn it. Team Skeptic was giving a shit. I was meditating. How dare you go live when I'm in a state of lucid dreaming and astral projecting? I was literally inside of a black hole. Inside of a black hole. Inside of a black hole.
Team, can you share some of the information of what you've seen there? We'll bag next year's Nobel Prize, yeah? Awesome. Thank you.
Oh my God. We have an alert. Mike Bertelsen is reporting that JM has just canceled the debate appearance.
Of course he has.
Hashtag bitch made.
MC2? Yeah. Okay. Scheduled like a week ago, and he's bitch made.
Let's see it in the chat. JM Truth. Hashtag bitch made. Oh yeah, baby.
Dear. And by the way, I've just seen a bunch of flatties basically scramble for help because of a certain oil rig video that was taken off the coast of Santa Barbara with the 1 foot and the 35-foot observation. A certain person happened to find a clearer shot of the two, showing that one of them is actually hidden and that the images that were taken were actually falsified.
Really? Guys, hold on 1 second here. With our little buzzer system we use in the background, what's going on here is some people buzz in my ear and some people don't. And every time I hear a buzz, I look and there's 3 fucking people. So I now that I know it's fucking up, I'll take better care of it. But Dead Kennedy in Space has been waiting. We got to get to him here.
Well, I'm just curious how exactly someone gets away with lying about established medical science, because I'm not a censorious person. I generally don't like when people get deplatformed on YouTube, but when you're lying about established medical science, where's the line? And in regards to that super chat, the citation needed on women being more likely to puss out of a day of work. Fucking citation needed. Is there a single study that suggests anything even close to that?
Exactly.
Well, the line
just flat out lying.
The line with censorship, it's about being able to demonstrate direct harm, right? Now, is he demonstrating direct harm?
In my opinion, yes. In the same way that
it's not direct. That's the problem, is it? It's not direct, and that is the problem. Even with anti-vaxxers, it's not direct harm, and that is the problem.
Well, and yet we've seen the anti-vax movement result in a huge outbreak in Samoa.
Yeah, absolutely.
When does it become direct? That's my question, I guess.
Absolutely.
When people start dying because of this movement, is it direct yet?
No, that's the really fucked up thing. It's because by definition of the word direct, it is not direct. Right?
No, it's indirect.
That is the fucking problem. It's because when it comes to vaccines, right? No one goes up to the, 3-month-old baby and goes, "Baby, would you like a relatively safe life, or would you like the risk to die?" And the baby goes, "I would like the risk to die, please." Doesn't happen.
That was a terrible baby voice.
Well, have you heard my voice? Do you really think I can, make a small person sound?
The sciences, we have to be careful of the aliens because they won't allow us to get the vaccines.
The aliens?
Guys, Logical's been waiting a while. We got to get to him here.
Yeah, we got some freezing rain coming in, so I'm going to have to sign off and get to the market before that hits here. But I wanted to give my final thoughts other than AB sounding like Eric Idle and Drag. Validation Boy basically is a racist, misogynist, small-minded little fuckwit who thinks that anything that doesn't fit into his very, very small little world is fake and unreal and is just out to get him and, you know, whatever. It is like, what I really want to know is when he goes to work, does he wear a white sheet over his head?
No, he doesn't work.
You know, I mean, because you know, it sounds like he needs, you know, he burns crosses on schoolyards or something. I don't know, because he's just a fucking moron.
I think a little bit of column A.
Do the KKK do that?
Do
they burn crosses on school lawns?
Yeah,
I thought it was generally. I thought it was generally on the, you know, on the sidewalk next to a house owned by a family with a particular skin color.
Yeah, well, you know, I was being slightly facetious, so yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, he drives me insane, and I really, really hope he takes me up on my live debate with him for mental health and medical issues, because as you guys know, I don't have a problem ripping him to shreds with a smile on my face and such a way that he will actually look at me and thank me for doing it.
I want to see that so bad.
Yeah, a logical death.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Well, with that, I'm going to bow out, say goodbye, and take care of this before the freezing rain comes in. Y'all have fun stepping on his so-called penis really, really hard.
Absolutely, brother. Take care, man.
Just Trog, man.
Good night, dude.
Well, speaking of which, you know, we're at the 2-hour plus mark now, so we should be doing our wrap-ups and stuff. So, you know, who's really pissed off? Who wants first dibs here?
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, where would you begin?
I think the question is who is the most pissed off right now?
Yeah. Well, why don't we let Purple get in here with some? Absolutely.
Like I said, I don't even know where to start. How anybody could cram that much stupid into such a short video?
That's a good description. I know you said it there earlier too. The fact that it's the same script twice. I mean, come on, you can't be serious.
Yeah. Unless he actually realizes that few people will never watch more than one of his videos.
Right. Yeah. Maybe they were far enough spread apart. I even forgot to check the times. I wasn't even sure. Let's go to Bullinator here, buddy. Bullinator, what do you want to wrap up and destroy with here at the end? Are you there and ready and good?
Well, I guess so, because I think that this guy is the biggest piece of shit I've seen in a long goddamn time. And to tell you the truth, for you to take two conditions that aren't even close to the same thing, fibromyalgia is a neurological disorder, if I'm not mistaken. And autism spectrum disorder is a neurodevelopmental disorder, which is akin tangentially, but not even close to the same thing, and use the same fucking script to try to cast aspersions on the entire medical field, that which burst you from your mama's twat. Jesus Christ, have some fucking respect for people who put work and time into making your life comfortable and making you be alive, because the very fact that you do this, just you're trash. You shouldn't even be allowed to speak in my world. Why are you here? Go the fuck away, dude.
Well said. I love it. And I think somebody who can equal some serious anger is going to be Aimee Hogan. Come on, what do you got for us?
This guy is the stupidest and biggest piece of shit on YouTube right now. What a dummy. I mean, really, like everybody's been saying, he uses the exact same script. He has no clue what he's saying. He's basically doing it to... He's a huge misogynist, as you could very well see. Women use fibromyalgia to get out of working because, you know, it's just something us women do. We're lazy and we're, you know. What the fuck?
I couldn't believe you said that.
I couldn't believe it either. I was just like, whoa. He is really the biggest dipshit I have ever met, and he is a fucking stupid idiot. Where's my bell? But he is completely stupid. I just cannot get over this. The things he said. He's disgusting, and he has done zero research.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now, yeah. Kevin, you sadly weren't here for the beginning when he did the Asperger's one, but I mean, you heard enough. You know this guy. You know what do you got for us, man?
This guy strikes me as the same kind of person who would say that I don't have depression. I don't have a chemical or hormonal imbalance in my brain. I'm just pretending to be sad to get sympathy points. And yeah, fuck that guy, because you know I'm very open about my mental health. And the thing is, if I wasn't, if I was like I was a few years ago, I would just sit and stew in this kind of thing. I wouldn't tell anybody about it. And if I didn't have the kind of community I have now, there's a good possibility I'd have fucking killed myself. Just right. Out of the sheer misery I was feeling. And this is the kind of piece of shit who will tell me that that's fake. So fuck this asshole. That's all I have to say.
Perfect. Yeah. Love it. Absolutely. How about Digital Demonic Davros? Come in with the sword, buddy.
All right, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? Seriously, he's got no fucking idea about medicine. He doesn't even know the shape of the fucking planet. I know this dick. I swear, if I ever saw him, I wouldn't even spit on him. He's not worth it. Right? Now, I have had a mental illness for as long as I can remember. Okay? Let's give it a ballpark figure, 25, 26 years. Right? Many medications, many treatments, everything from CBD to ECT. When you got something wrong neurologically, it's very hard to get rid of the damn thing. And until people understand that not everyone's got a regular brain, everyone's different, everyone's wired differently. And until they can get that through their head, I mean, think about it. These are people that think vaccines are bad. They think the Earth is flat. They think that we didn't land on the moon. They think, like, all these things are fake. Do they understand that they actually suffer from a neurological disease?
Yeah.
Cognitive dissonance, I believe, is a disease.
It does seem to be looking that way. I absolutely agree.
But that's right. Doctors can't diagnose mental illnesses or anything like that because they just don't know. They don't have any tests for it, you know. Yeah. Oh, well, actually, we do. What does a triangle with the sides 1 and 1? What are the internal angles? Oh, hang on. What's 5 divided by 0? Oh, is this an egg?
Okay, that's it then. Is this an egg? We're going to AB Science then.
I'm going to start off with a joke. I feel I need to point this out because this, in the context, it might be mistaken properly. I don't see why he has an issue. Let's just assume for a moment that he is right about women using fibromyalgia to take time off work. I don't see how he is an issue because surely in his worldview, that means that said woman has more time to spend in the kitchen.
Oh my God.
Oh yes.
I thought I was the controversial one here.
This is a joke.
Yeah, I
was muted. I was muted, but I laughed at that immediately.
The spider bites man makes Spider-Man. Cat bites woman makes Catwoman. Woman makes man do dishes, turns into bitch.
But yeah, around his mental health
AB,
issues.
keep it going. Yeah.
Around on the serious note, around his mental health issues, right? It's ridiculous. I've got mental health issues, and I'm a physicist. you know what? I can measure it. I can definitely show you that it's a thing. I can fucking measure it. But this asshole, he is against everything I stand for. No, I'm no social justice warrior whatsoever. Anyone who will, know that. But
I'll back you there.
I'm actively against everything he stands for, and I'm the first on the fucking front lines to fight everything he stands for. But most of all, I feel sorry for him. He is a tragic, sad little individual.
You're not wrong
And I
there.
pity him.
Absolutely.
I've seen pond scum with more integrity.
The word pathetic comes to mind.
Really?
Quick shout out in the chat to Trolls versus Trolls. Love your channel. Awesome stuff. So cool to see you here. Right on.
Yeah. Brilliant bitch made on Unirock there. Yeah.
Oh, come on. That was just absolutely epic viewing. I loved it. Okay, let me get back to things here. Sorry. Did I kill your jam there? Were you done, AB? I totally fucked that up. Okay. So Barman's up. What do you got, Barman?
Oh, damn. I'd like to call him racist, but I feel like I defend the racist people, even though half of them shag their sisters and things, because you've got to be fucked up to be racist to start with. And even they wouldn't fucking want him in their group because they'll think he's a fucking moron. But then to call him a moron, I feel like fucking stupid people will be offended that I'm going to put him in the same fucking group as them. Because this guy is off the fucking charts on both fucking stances. Crazy fucking moronic racist fucking twat. He's a waste of fucking space and needs to be kicked in the crotch several times by a very large elephant. I mean, for fuck's sake, why? His videos, he's literally, it sounds like he's recorded it in that stupid monotone voice, done one video, then sat there, edited it. It's not the same script. He's just edited it, cut that word out, or paste the other word in. That'll do 2 minutes work. That's probably the most intelligent thing he's ever done in his life, is being able to use a fucking video. I think he's still got Velcro fucking shoes, though. I mean, it's a fucking joke. It's a fucking joke. Anyway, somebody else bitch at him.
Oh, what a fucking pleasure.
I think we saved the angriest till last. Tatty, give him some shtick, brother.
I'm telling you, man. As I say, before fucking Friday, I had no idea, not a damn do, who the hell this arse piece was. I've seen now, 3 videos? Maybe about 10 minutes worth?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, if this prick stopped fucking breathing tomorrow, I would give him less thought than I'd give the fucking bit of fucking rim cheese that I fucking washed off my cock this morning. Because to me, that bit of rim cheese, I'll miss that wee bastard. That prick, I wouldn't fucking piss in that wanker if he was on fucking fire. Fucking belly. I'll tell you, man, fucking scum of humanity, that belly fucking wanker.
You wouldn't piss on him. You wouldn't piss on him if he's on fire. I would actually set him on fire to test that idea.
I would purposefully unplug his life support, even if my cell phone didn't need to charge. Let's put it that way.
No, because I needed to plug in my bar fridge so I could sit there and watch him burn.
I would purposefully drink petrol so then I could piss on him while he's on fire, but just to make the fire fucking worse.
Have one of your 3 bottles of plonk when you're playing poker, and then go and wee on him. Then that'd be strong enough, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, super chat time. AB, you want to take that one, buddy?
Oh yeah, I will take that one. Jay, this is $5 from Surf, US dollars. JM may have run off, but MC Toon has another debate scheduled at 10 p.m. CST. I have no idea what time that is in
Central.
proper time.
4 a.m. Central.
Yeah, I know it's central, but I don't know what that means in real time. I mean, not
real time.
Not the
If I'm correct,
shit time.
if I'm correct, that means in 10 minutes, doesn't it?
No.
10 p.m. is UK time, 6 hours.
All right.
Yeah, you guys are all in the past. I don't care.
No.
But yes.
But yeah. Yes. So you just got to stay up longer / shill. So we've got a little bit of time, more time to shill, apparently.
Ooh.
Well,
good.
Yeah.
Oh, another super chat.
Yeah. Who wants that one?
I think Tatty should take this one.
Yeah, Tatty.
Factored for $2 CAD and 79 shiny cents for Tatty's English lessons. Love you, Tatty.
Factard's awesome. Love you. Now, I want to make an apology here because tonight's comments and questions from the viewers has not been as good as normal because I was doing it. Aimee wanted to tear the living shit out of Validation Boy, and there was nothing we could do to hold her back. I mean, if you actually knew her, she's kind of more in charge around here than anybody else. And so, I just can't do it as well. It was flying along in the back room where everybody posts them for me and whatnot too fast. I couldn't keep up. The rest of us are talking in the back room, making sure that we know what we're doing. And there's no way. Aimee, how the fuck do you guys do this? Oh, is Aimee not even here now?
No, so she does
Yeah,
it.
I'm here. I'm sorry. No, what I do is I have an open Word document and I just paste the comments in there and then switch over and just keep an eye on the green room just to make sure that I'm catching them all.
Oh, I
you
got
have
an
to remember
adrenaline
normally
rush going on here.
you have to remember with the buzzer, normally it's just us and maybe one guest, so no one gives a shit.
Yeah, and that's true. I'm doing the buzzer system in the background as well as trying to do the chats, and I think that was making it a little too hard. But
And then there's a bastard like me who didn't use the buzzer tonight.
You're loud enough mouth. You don't need it. That's it.
To be honest, like I turn it on, but when it's just us, it's it's such a chaos. I've stopped using it, so I'm kind of used to that now.
Yeah.
Just wait for someone to take a breath, and in you go.
Oh, Ilya Moon did something unique. Is that one of those stickers? I don't think we've ever seen that before.
That's
is that what that is? And I'm pretty sure
candy.
No, it's $3, and I'm pretty sure it's metal forever, baby.
Hell yeah.
Thanks, Ilya. That was awesome. I've never seen that before. I think that's the first time I've ever seen one. That's really cool. I like it. So, Shillin, let's see here. We've got some people in, she confirmed it. Cool. So we do have some people in this chat we should be shilling out. Let me just scroll through here. Dark Knight Apologetics has a really cool site to check some stuff out on. Who are we here? We got AB Science. Well, I know y'all know him. We got the barman, Tattie-Bogle, and ANA. Factard, how's it going, guys? Surf is going to be coming at you with a new group doing some really cool streaming. It may be a little familiar to you, but they're really cool, and I can't wait to see what they got going on. We got Vishanti, Mike and Lyndall Bertelson. Love those guys. Punchy. I got to do them again, whatever. Let's see here. Anybody, Glober Mom, Chris I'm so Canadian it hurts. Like my ability to pronounce some styles of like European and other regions of the world names is just truly atrocious, right? Sorry.
Is Canadian a disease now?
Yeah. No, it is. It always has been.
Oh God, it's a stumbling block, if anything. Miffit69, hey.
We don't have any diagnostic tools or anything for Canadianism, but we know it's real.
Yeah,
Big shout out to Miffit69, who lives in the same state as me down here in the lovely state of South Australia.
Right now, I think Dead Kennedy in Space has actually grown a body, and he's climbing out of his jar to kill us all for the Canadian jokes.
What? Why am I going to kill us all?
Oh,
Canadian insults, dude! I'm so used to Canadian insults, I don't even notice.
Yeah, he receives the Canadian insult, and he will apologize for it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Well, the first thing a Canadian does when they tell you off is they say, "I'm sorry, but you're an asshole." Like, that's how bad it is, right? Well, and Shillen, let's see. On Elusive Man, Danger Zone, there was a really good stream today about Unirock and AT2. I would recommend that as viewing for your own pleasure later on in this.
Punk ass bitch didn't turn up.
And then who else? Cheshire did a ladies' night thing where I think there was 4 of the chicks hanging out talking some stuff, and I'm sure that's going to be some really heated good stuff. I can't wait to see that one after. AT2 was on tap today, and I'm sure he was on fire. I can't wait to see what he was up to. Boole, am I missing anybody? Who else is that we should be, making sure that we tell about here?
That actually covers a huge chunk of them. I can't really think of anything like other than the usual Caffeine Corner on Steve McRae's channel on Mondays.
Yeah,
the scheduled stuff. But as far as the specials, that was it.
All right. Well, you know what, guys? On that, I think we've gone around and we've done it. So let me say my little piece on Validation Boy, because I did save myself till the very end. And first off, we all need a written apology from him for wasting the energy of the trees, keeping that son of a bitch alive, because really, he's not worth the effort. So, right away, not to go all, activist or anything, but this is a matter that has to be dealt with. Number 2, I think the best way to say it would be if I could put my foot far enough up his ass, I could tickle his teeth with my fucking toes. That would make me a happy man. So I think we've covered Validation Boy twice. He is human garbage. He's absolutely worthless. And, if you ever see him sleeping homeless on the side of the road, you don't have to kick him, just walk by. It's okay. On that note, I want to thank Purple Rhymes with Orange for joining us again to go at Validation Boy a second time. Blue Earth Thing, who had to take off as well. Awesome to have you here. That was fantastic. And we got Digital Demonic Davros, who literally skewered him. So what do you think, folks? Validation Boy, piece of shit. 1 in the chat. No, actually, he's just a misinformed, meaning well kind of guy, is a 2. I vote 1. He's a piece of shit. And on that note, we're the Shills. This has been the Silly Shill Show. Destruction of Validation Boy. Let's say goodnight, everybody. We're out of here.
Good night.
Validation Boy.
I had to vote.